Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we take the information you're curious about, sift through the source material you provide, and really try to give you the knowledge you need. And today, wow, you brought us a really fascinating stack, all focused on something that's, it's changing things fast, these GLP-1 compounds for weight loss. So our mission here is to look at what you're seeing, friends, neighbors having visible success, and connect that with something else you mentioned, which is this real personal caution, a nervousness about maybe trying it yourself. We're going to unpack that tension, the one between the huge social buzz and the need for, safety and proper guidance.
Yeah, that tension really is at the heart of it, isn't it? I mean, you're seeing these results everywhere. It's almost impossible to look away. But precisely because the effects are so powerful, it raises big questions like, what does it actually mean to start a new, potent medical treatment like this?
Okay, yeah, let's unpack exactly that. Why are GLP-1s dominating the conversation? Because, other diets or fads, they didn't quite hit like this. It feels like it starts with just how visible the results are.
Right. And maybe it helps to quickly touch on the science behind that visibility, just briefly.
Good idea.
So GLP-1, it stands for glucagon-like peptide 1. It's actually a hormone your own gut releases naturally when you eat. It basically tells your brain, okay, you're full. These medications, they mimic that hormone signal, but they're much more potent and they last longer. They also slow down how fast your stomach empties, so food stays there longer. And they keep sending those I'm full signals to the brain.
Ah, okay. So it's not really about just willpower then, or, tracking calories on an app. We're talking about actually regulating the body's basic hunger signals physiologically.
Exactly. And that's why the results can be so noticeable and often quite fast.
Right.
When a mechanism works that well, the effects quickly move beyond just clinical trial data. They show up in your real life, your social circles. You're not just reading about abstract participants. You're seeing it happen to people you know, your friends, maybe coworkers, neighbors. Your source material really highlights that this is driving your curiosity, doesn't it? This kind of tangible, observable success creates a buzz that feels, fundamentally different from past weight loss stuff.
Right. I mean, if you think about the history of weight management, it's just full of trends, right? Things that took massive effort, and often the gains were small or they didn't last. The fact that this GLP-1 thing is causing such widespread, significant, visible weight loss.
Yeah.
And it means the social proof is just, it's huge. It's the kind of thing everyone's talking about because the changes are real, they seem lasting, and they happen relatively quickly.
And what's really interesting there is the psychological effect. When something seems to work that well and that fast, it makes people want to know more, for sure. But it also almost immediately raises a kind of red flag, doesn't it? Like, what's the catch? What's the cost of something so powerful? And that takes us straight to where you are, the listener's own feeling about it.
Which brings us neatly to that second point we wanted to explore, acknowledging your hesitation. Because despite all this social proof, the sources clearly say you find yourself nervous to try it yourself. So why? Why aren't the amazing results enough to just sweep away that personal caution?
Well, because we are dealing with a potent drug. It affects fundamental processes in your metabolism, that nervousness. It isn't really resistance, It's actually a pretty healthy, necessary response when something new comes along in medicine. Think about previous things, like the Atkins diet maybe, or really intense workout plans. They came with risks too, or limitations, but they felt kind of known. This feels different. It's a pharmacological step. It changes how your body works on a basic signaling level.
Right. So the worry shifts a bit. It's less, will this diet even work? And more like, okay, what are the side effects I need to watch out for? And maybe even, what are the long-term effects of messing with my hormones like this?
Your material definitely confirms this is part of the story now. People see the results, they want them, but they also recognize this is a medical path, not just a lifestyle tweak.
And that nervousness, that critical thinking, it's really important. Because the reality is, while these meds are very effective, they're not, side effect free, especially when people are first starting and adjusting the dose. Things like nausea, maybe vomiting, other gastrointestinal issues, they're quite common. And you really need professional guidance to manage that. Just trying it on your own, that seems pretty risky in this situation.
Okay, so we got the push, the incredible social success, and the pull, that very understandable personal caution. So the real question becomes, how do your sources suggest bridging that gap? How do you get from being nervously curious to maybe trying it safely? And that leads us right into the final piece, which feels like the most critical insight from your material. It's this call for monitored safety. The source doesn't just point out the nervousness, it suggests a specific, responsible way forward. It talks about seeking monitored weight loss with GLP-1s.
Right, and the key word there is monitored. It's presented as the direct answer to the anxiety, isn't it? The goal is to lose weight the healthy way. And according to the sources, making it healthy seems completely tied to one thing, being monitored by a physician. Why is that medical monitoring framed as so non-negotiable for these drugs?
Well, it's because of their power, like we said, and how they work in the body. When you introduce something that fundamentally changes how your stomach works and how full you feel, you really need expertise. You need it to manage a few key things. First, getting the dose right. Finding the lowest amount that works but causes the fewest side effects, that titration process. Second, checking for contraindications, making sure it's actually safe for you based on your specific health history. Things related to, say, thyroid health or pancreatic health are important considerations. And third, and this might be the most important thing for making it work long-term, is making sure your overall metabolic health is looked after. It's not just about dropping pounds, it's about ensuring you're still getting proper nutrition and hydration, even when your appetite signals are turned down. That's likely why the source mentions centers that specialize in metabolic health. It suggests you need comprehensive, kind of specialized care, not just, anyone writing a prescription.
That distinction feels really important. It's not just about getting the shot itself. It's about entering into a structured relationship with medical pros who understand the nuances. So the source material is basically saying, look, the social results are undeniable, yes, but you should only really chase those results under professional, personalized supervision.
Exactly. It acts as the safety net. If we circle back to your nervousness that you described, the sources are really validating that. They're saying your caution makes sense, and the solution is structured medical help. That seems to be positioned as the only way to handle the unknowns and make sure the whole process is genuinely healthy and sustainable, not just some quick, potentially risky fix.
So the source material really pulls it all together then. GLP-1s, super effective, socially impossible to ignore, which drives massive curiosity. But their medical strength means that the standard way, the responsible way to use them, has to involve being monitored by a doctor. The visible success and the required safety steps are like two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, it creates this powerful cycle, doesn't it? The drugs work so well that they cause huge visible social change. And that very success forces us to treat them with the utmost medical respect and really detailed oversight.
Okay, so let's wrap up this deep dive based on your material. We've pulled out the core knowledge. GLP-1s are everywhere in social circles because they work visibly well. That visibility creates curiosity, but also, quite rightly, nervousness. And that nervousness points directly towards the need for expert specialized medical supervision. So what does all this mean for you personally? It means if you're thinking about this path, seeing friends and neighbors succeed isn't the end of your research journey. It's really just the start of a conversation, specifically with a physician. The sources make it pretty clear that being monitored by a physician is the essential first step to using this powerful tool in a healthy, responsible way.
And maybe if we zoom out for a final thought, think about how widespread this is becoming. That, your friends and neighbors are getting these results on a large scale. What does that fundamentally change about how we as a society think about weight management? When the default healthy approach for this effective tool requires constant specialized medical monitoring, what does that shift mean for you, knowing that getting a healthy outcome in this new landscape seems to involve partnering with a doctor, not just for the first prescription, but for continuous oversight and metabolic balance through the whole thing?
That is a huge question. Definitely something to think about regarding the future of managing health. A lot to mull over as you figure out your next steps. Thanks for bringing us this fascinating tension to explore. Use this knowledge as you move forward, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.
Going metabolic. Going metabolic.